The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Destiny is one of the most sweetest and wholesome romance animes you will ever watch. Let's talk about it. Alright, hey, what's up, y'all? Hope y'all are doing good. Back with another romance anime review. Today, we're talking about The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Destiny. This took over anime this season, as not just in the romance category, but I feel like in just anime in general. This is one of the most hyped up and best anime of this season. It was really, really fun, really great to watch. I'm gonna give my full review here today, and yeah, so let's just start it, huh? By the way, I appreciate the love on the My Dress Up Darling Season 2, my first video of this nature. I really, really appreciate it a whole lot. More of it is coming very, very soon. As you can see, this is our second video, and we're just going to keep it going for hopefully once a week. I'm going to try to upload one of these. But yeah, all right, let me stop talking and let me get into what we're actually here for, right? So the first section we're going to talk about is Rentaro and Waguri's relationship. Going through just the key parts of the relationship and just see what happened throughout this season. Starting with their first meeting, what we see in the show at least is Rentaro, who, main character by the way, has a family bakery shop. I don't know how to say that word. Rentaro is asked to come in and work the counter just for one single customer, and when he sees that it's this girl named Waguri, who we later find out who is eating 7 different plates of cake, she gets really flustered from him seeing her and she runs away. Then we go to the next day where Waguri comes back to the shop and asks specifically for Rentaro because she wants to apologize and offers him a piece of cake as well. They start talking, yada yada yada, introduce themselves, and we find out that Waguri actually has been eyeing Rentaro for the past few, well, we don't know how long at this point, but she has been seeing him around the shop and has really wanted to get to talk to him and get to know him. A big part here in episode 1 is also her saying that she doesn't think that Rentaro is scary. If you haven't watched the show and don't know anything about it, first of all, go watch it because it is awesome. All right, but if you don't know much about the show, Rentaro has struggled with a lot throughout his life. People judging him because he's tall, bleached hair, earrings. People think he's a delinquent. People think he's really, really scary, you know, and can't be approached and all this stuff. And she's the first person to kind of tell him, hey, you're not scary. You're just a regular person. And that really gets to him. You know, it touches his soul a little bit. We also see Rentaro save Waguri from other delinquent boys that think that she's involved with Rentaro, and for some reason they just really don't like him. And so Rentaro goes up and saves her, and they have another cute moment throughout the rest of the episode. And we end episode 1 with Rentaro at his school, Waguri at her school. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, again, there's this like classism with these schools where you have Kikyo Private School, which is a private school just for girls that are taught to be ladies and all that stuff. And then right next to it, we have Chidori High School, which is a public high school that does have a lot of money. And the schools don't like each other because the girls are rich and they think the other boys are really, really dumb. Rentaro finds out that Waguri goes to Kikyo and he is really, really confused because this whole time he thought she was a middle schooler because she's short. Then we see in episode 2, Waguri waits outside of Chidori for Rentaro, which is unprecedented. I just destroyed that word. Which is unprecedented because, again, 2 schools don't mix. We see one of Rentaro's friends, Usami, go up and confront her, but then Rentaro saves her from him, and eventually the girls from Kikyo go over and take Waguri back, and yeah, there's a little conflict right there. Later on, after Rentaro goes out to karaoke with his friends, he comes back late to the cake shop where he finds Waguri waiting there for him, wanting to talk it out. And they have a cute little conversation at the table where Rentaro says he's happy that Waguri was over there waiting for him, but then he's like, no, wait, I take it back. That's weird. And then Waguri says, no, don't take it back. And we see these 2 awkward cuties be so wholesome together, and I love it. The rest of the conversation basically goes like Rentaro, you know, saying, hey, I know I'm from this school, you're from that school, so you probably think this of me and think this of others, you know, and all this stuff. And Waguri actually gets kind of mad a little bit and sad that Rentaro thinks that of her, so she leaves. And then it takes Rentaro's mom, who, by the way, GOAT character, we're going to talk about that more later, telling Rentaro, hey, you just judged her the way that other people have judged you your whole life. And then he finally realizes this, and then the end of episode 2 is basically him getting to school early to find her. They hash things out. You know, he starts being honest with her. They make up, apologize, and she says, hey, I want to know about you. F the schools, that doesn't matter. I want to know you. In episode 3, Rentaro needs help studying because if he doesn't pass the midterm, then he won't be able to participate in the sports festival. And then we learn Wagiri is top of her class. So they eventually set up a study date. They have their first phone call later at the end of the episode, planning out the date. And Rentaro makes a bold move, asking Wagiri, hey, you can talk casual with me. You don't have to be so formal and all that stuff. Just talk casual like we're friends. And we get a very cute moment from both of them at the end of the episode. The first half of episode 4 is their study date. They get there early, go to a little coffee shop or whatever, study, get really close to each other's faces for a little while. It's a very, very cute, wholesome moment. For the next about episode and a half, from 4 to 5, and even a little bit in 6, Rentaro kind of holds back a little bit from Wagiri because he's thinking about a meeting with Subaru. Subaru is Wagiri's friend that they had a little confrontation with, and Subaru is just like really, really protective of Wagiri, and she doesn't want anything bad to happen to her, and so they have a meeting, just Rentaro and Subaru basically asks, hey, don't, hang out with her anymore. When Rentaro says, like, not even thinking, he just comes out and blurts it out like, no, I can't do that. And for the next couple of days, Rentaro is thinking about that meeting, and it's kind of be like, dang, am I gonna be, something bad for her? Is this right? Should I really keep pursuing this and all that stuff? But eventually that ends. We even get in episode 6 where the episode is really more based on Wagiri and Subaru, which we're going to get into a little bit more later. But Wagiri actually admits her feelings for Rentaro in episode 6 when Subaru asks, do you like him? And she says, yes, I do. Which kind of threw me off guard a little bit. But then again, I feel like from episode 1, we kind of knew she had a little bit of a crush on him. But now we finally get like the confirmed feelings. Then we see in episode 8, Wagiri and Rentaro combining their friend groups together. Again, more unprecedented things because Shidori and Kikyo hanging out. Well, they get their friends to meet with each other, and then after they meet each other, Rentaro wants to do something to make up for anything with Wagiri, and Wagiri says, hey, let's go out together, and they go on an aquarium date. We get a full date episode, which is super wholesome, super sweet. Rentaro learns what love is from a 6-year-old. It's great. And at the end of episode 8, leading into the start of episode 9, we actually see Rentaro develop the crush and kind of the spark hit him out of nowhere, like, oh shoot, I can't stop thinking about her. I like her. So by the midway point of episode 9, they both have admitted they like the other one. So things are moving along here. We get in episode 9, Wagiri and Subaru come over to Rentaro's house because Rentaro invited his friends over for the first time ever. And the mom says, hey, invite the girls over too, bring them up because why not? We get some cute moments from them. We get a group study episode in episode 10 when Rentaro and Wagiri actually do look like a couple, and even the friends, Saku and Ayato, seeing and kind of realizing, oh, okay, they have a crush on each other, and we get cute moments there. And then even later in the episode 8 and episode 12, Usami finally figures out as well, and then Rentaro learns that all his friends know that they have a crush because he cannot hide his emotions. We get a really wholesome episode 11 where it's Wagiri's birthday. Subaru kind of wingmanning a little bit for her, tells Rentaro, hey, it's her birthday, do something for her. And Rentaro knows that Wagiri loves cake, loves to eat a lot, which is one of the great things about her. And so he gets convinced by his mom to ask his dad to make a cake for her because, hey, they run a cake shop, right? So we see the entire episode 11 basically him learning how to make a cake and trying his best. So eventually he finally does it, gives it to her, and it's super, super sweet. Then we get episode 12 where the entire group goes to the beach for fireworks. We get great moments there. And then we get to the end of episode 12 where they're alone together with sparklers because the other group went out to go buy more fireworks. They're there talking to each other at night. Wagiri is thanking Rentaro for helping with Subaru, her best friend, helping her kind of come along and fit in. Rentaro says no. He credits her, for not wanting to give up and wanting to keep going and, make friends and all this stuff. And then eventually when Rentaro's going on this whole kind of monologue thing, he kind of blurts out, I like you. A little confession scene. And that just threw everybody off because it was like, what? There was no build up. There was no lead up. There was no hint dropping that it was going to happen. It just kind of happened. It blurted out, which I think is great because this is Rentaro's character. We've seen since Rentaro started hanging out with Wagiri, he's become more honest and just kind of open about his feelings. You can easily read his emotions on his face. Everybody does, throughout the entire season. And so him kind of doing this just out of not even thinking, it just blurted out is the perfect way for this to happen. So we get that confession scene and the episode kind of ends with both of them being really awkward. Then we go to episode 13 which was the perfect kind of little bow and ribbon on this entire season. They go out on a festival day, they walk around, have some fun, then they sit on the bench, and Rintaro kind of properly gives a confession to Waguri, kind of doubling down on his feelings from earlier. And then after that, Waguri basically gives a whole monologue, basically, of why she likes Rintaro, and actually basically gives a full retelling of the story from her perspective. Oh my god, I just can't talk, huh? She gives a whole backstory, even for things before episode 1, of how they actually met. Basically, Waguri was going through a little bit of a rough time, transitioning to a new environment, to a new school and all that. She passes by the cake shop, goes in, eats a piece of cake, gets really emotional, starts crying, and Rintaro comes over to comfort her. And that's when she knew right away, this is, a really, really nice person, helping me get through this stuff. So then she kept going back to the shop every day, not every day, but a lot of times, trying to find a way to get into a conversation with Rintaro, but could never really do it until the one day where it's late. She goes in, she's like, why not? I haven't talked to this guy even at all. I don't even care about that guy anymore. I'm just gonna go eat cake, whatever. And then that's when we transition into episode 1. She basically gives her whole backstory and reasoning of why she likes Rintaro and why she was interested in him in the first place, and it's really, really sweet. But then eventually she gives her confession, and I guess it's kind of implied that they are together now and they're dating, and that's how the series ends. One thing this show is absolutely awesome at is creating the characters and building these characters, because they all have something that you really hold on to and you really love about them. Starting with our main character, Rintaro. He's someone that has always been judged ever since he was a little kid, from his weird aura, kind of being shy, a little bit standoffish, no one really being friends with him, didn't have a lot of friends, went blonde, earrings in his ear, very tall, very kind of brooding. Everyone thinks he's a delinquent type of guy, but really inside, he's just a good kid, but eventually it gets to the point where people are judging him so much that he actually starts believing in his own head, oh, I am this. I'm not a great person. I'm just do this. I blame myself for everything, and it's kind of very relatable, obviously, because sometimes that just happens. People just get judged for no reason. It's a bad thing that happens in this world. And to see him grow from episode 1 to starting to become more honest with himself, honest with his friends, honest with others, showing his emotions off, and just not wanting to give up. That was a big kind of theme in I feel like the second half of the show, where he started to get more confident in himself and be like, okay, I don't want to give up because I want to do it for Waguri. I want to do it for my friends. I want to do it for this. And it's just nice to see his character grow from being this guy that probably didn't have a lot of self-confidence, and just always kind of shy and, put walls up for everybody, to kind of break those walls down and to become and be the true self that he actually is. Because on the inside, he is a very, very nice guy. Our other main character, Waguri, she comes off as strong. She stands on her beliefs. She believes in others. She's kind of a hero in a sense, because she saved Rintaro. She saved Subaru. When people are judging them, be mean to them, she's like, I don't see what's wrong with them. I think they're great people. I want them to be my friend. And she is a really, really great friend, always ready to kind of take the blame and apologize. And that's a big theme of this show that we're going to talk about in a minute or two. Again, loves to eat, loves cake, but just a really kind person, and just the best thing to happen, I feel like, to Rintaro, where you get a person that is confident in herself and kind of is like, hey, you're not scary at all. She's not afraid to say, what she wants to say. And again, she stands on her beliefs and who her friends are and who the nice people are. And I think she was like the perfect kind of piece next to Rintaro. And then the quote-unquote side characters even are all really, really good as well. We see Subaru, who I think had a really big change. When we first see her in the season, she's kind of telling off Rintaro and the guys, and she looks like she's the mean girl that doesn't want anything, to get in her way with her and Waguri. But then we kind of learn a little bit more about her as time goes on. She was bullied as a kid, she didn't have a good relationship with guys, kind of stayed away from them. But then Waguri comes along and helps her out and stuck by her side and becomes her only friend that she finds, very similar to what Waguri did to Rintaro. So Subaru kind of has dedicated kind of a lot of her life to hoping Waguri's happy in the best position she could possibly be. We also see a lot of her, her self-confidence is very low. Doesn't think she's good enough. Self-doubt in her. And it was very, very relatable. And even at the end of the season, she still was kind of like dealing with it in episode 12, where she's on this trip with all the guys and Wagari, and she's kind of like, am I supposed to be here? Am I bringing everyone down because I'm not really fun? I'm still kind of trying to figure out where I fit in this whole scene. You know, I'm still kind of not fully sure. Do they think I'm their friend or what is going on? And it's a very relatable thing, you know, to not have self-confidence and kind of overthinking and being like, am I supposed to be having fun? Am I supposed to be here? What do the others think of me? And it's something that kind of everybody deals with at some points in their lives. And so to see it kind of played out like this, where it's super realistic, was just like a good thing to see. Not good in terms of like, obviously it was a sad story, you know, it was an emotional story, but it's just, they did it in a really good way that's really relatable, and you can really see like, oh dang, like I feel for y'all. You go from at first being like, why is this girl so mean? Like, what the heck? I don't like this character, to being like, oh my god, like she is like, I love this character. Like it's just like 2 or 3 episodes, you flip on her and you're like, oh wait, dang, like she's been through a lot. I feel for her. So I think they did a great job with her character. Usami, one of the main kind of best friends. The only way I can describe him, emotional idiot. He's very emotional, you know, always gets really, really high or really, really low, you know, always kind of making a scene a little bit. Also, he's kind of an idiot, you know, he's kind of not fully there. He has some stupid moments, you know, but he is a great person. He's always there for his friends, always by his friend's side, always tries to stay positive in certain lights. And eventually, you know, he works his way to, you know, not failing tests anymore and being a good friend, helping out, you know, Saku and Rintaro come back together. Like, he did a lot of good in this show, and also helping Subaru fit right into the group as well. I think he did a great part in that. So Usami is a really, really fun character. Then you get Saku. He's kind of like the quiet, smart kid, doesn't really say too much. You know, we figure out again, he's really, really smart. And he has a big moment kind of halfway through the season when him and Rintaro kind of have a little bit of a disagreement. I don't know if I want to say really fight, where they figure out that Rintaro is involved with Wagari, who goes to the other school. And Saku, from episode 1, you could tell he knew that something was up with Rintaro. There's something off, but he didn't really want to pry. He was just going to wait and see. But then once they figure out that there's this girl involved, he kind of gets like, dang, so you're going to tell us there's nothing again? Like, he really wants to know. And then we figure out that he really got mad and wants to know because he wants to be a great friend to Rintaro, because Rintaro helped him kind of get comfortable in this new school. So he kind of just wants to pay the favor back, and he wants to be a really, really great friend. You know, and eventually they do end up making up. He's someone that, you know, wants to be kind of like the cool guy, doesn't like saying a lot of emotional things, you know, just wants to be, you know, again, wants to be kind of cool, you know, but he has his great moments as well. He has his moments with Subaru as well, where they had a little bit of a spat when Subaru first gets introduced, but then they apologize to each other. Even in episode 12, him buying her donuts when he kind of realized that she wanted them. It's just a really cute moment. And yeah, Saku, another really, really good character and a really realistic character, really relatable character as well. And then we have Ayato. He probably has like the least amount of like thing to do with this season in terms of all these other characters, but he still, you know, fits in. You know, he's kind of the background character a little bit, doesn't really say too much, doesn't really have a lot of plot points involved with him. But one thing is, he's always there for his friends, no matter what. Even when, you know, like Saku and Rintaro were fighting, he was always there for both of them. You know, he kind of had like easy air to him, where he's just kind of like the friendly guy, where you could just talk about anything with him and he'll be there. He had great moments in the bowling alley with him and Rintaro when they're discussing, you know, about crushes and stuff, and Ayato's just kind of there listening to him and trying to help him out. You know, he also can fight. You know, he took down like 3 or 4 people in that one scene. So, you know, get on his bad side, hurt his friends, and he will mess you up. And then we have the mom, who was maybe the GOAT of this show. She was always by her son's side from the very beginning, you know, from even when we see flashbacks of him as a little kid, where he's going through it and he's crying to his mom like, no one likes me, I'm done trying to make friends, I'm done trying to be all this. And she even goes blonde, gets the earring, all that stuff, just for him. Always by her son's side no matter what. You know, she does everything for him. She gives him advice. You know, she doesn't take any BS and helps kind of progress the story in certain ways. But she also doesn't pry into her son's life. She's like, hey, that's your life. I'm just here to help you out. And she was like so good. She always feel like hit the right button and did the right thing at every single moment. And we get once in episode 6 at the end when her and Mentor are at the dinner table and she's like giving advice to him. And then also in episode 9 when all of his friends are over at their house and she kind of gives the backstory a little bit on what Rentar went through as a kid and her life, in his life, and why she decided to, again, dye her hair, you know, get the piercings just for him. And we get this like really emotional scene, you know, where she kind of tears up a little bit seeing Rentar with all his friends and Rentar coming over and saying, hey, thank you for everything. And that got to me as well because I love my mom. You all should love your mom. Go right now, go tell your mom you love her. All right, do that, please. Going to the themes that this show really hit. The main one, kind of like the big one in the head, is don't judge people. You know, we see a lot of times is people getting judged and, you know, placed into a certain box for no reason. And that just sucks, not only for the other person. They feel like they're getting placed into this certain path that maybe necessarily don't want to go down. They don't think they are, but eventually they get put onto this path. And it just really sucks to be judged, to be thought of in a certain way without people even getting to know you or knowing your story. But it also sucks for you judging other people because now you just look like a dickhead. So don't judge people. Apologizing is a big theme of the show as well. Like every character has like 7 different apologies, which is not a bad thing. Like take ownership of, you know, knowing when to apologize is like a skill in a sense. Because you'll be surprised how many people don't know how to say, my bad, I messed up. You know, some people have too much ego and too much pride. Where it's like, hey, we're humans, we make mistakes. You know, so just apologize and take up for, you know, when you make a mistake, say, I made a mistake. Oh, I did the wrong thing or I said the wrong thing. It's not that hard to do. Knowing / finding who you are is another one. This is more with Rintaro and Subaru. You know, with those two, again, with their struggles kind of in self-confidence and, again, being judged by other people, kind of figuring out who you are, being with the right crowd, you know, and really finding that one person or people maybe that can help you, you know, figure out who you really are and, you know, loving yourself for who you really are. I think is a big theme that they hit really well in the show. Friendship, obviously, big theme as well. You know, that's always in basically a thing in every anime, but friendship being very, very important. And overall, at the end of the day, just being a good person. I feel like that was a big thing in this show, like the big kind of, you know, ribbon above all. Just be a good person. You know, it doesn't take that much to just be a good person. You know, and if you're a good person, good things will come to you. So I know it sounds super like just easy and like, yeah, but again, you'll be surprised how many people don't know how to be just be a good person. Just don't be a dickhead. All right. Just be a good person and treat other people with respect. And that's all you kind of need to do. At the end of the day, this was an amazing show. One of the best romances I've seen in a very long time. You know, again, the characters, they did a great job at the themes they hit, the romance we get at a high level as well. This was just an amazing show. Even if you're not a romance fan or you're not, you know, a drama, like this is a show that could really hook you. You know, if you're not fully fledged in on romance, you're not fully fledged in on drama, you're still kind of on the fence about it, watch this show. And I think you will find something to really love in this show and find something really relatable that'll hook you and be like, oh shoot, like I want to see more of this. How does this resolve? You know, also again, animation, very, very good as well. But yeah, this is an amazing show. One of the best romances, or not even romance, just animes of the season, you know? And I can't wait to see, maybe, is there a season 2? I don't know. Again, I don't read manga or anything like that, so I don't know. There's probably more they can adapt. Maybe there's a season 2 coming. Hopefully there is, because I would take 5 seasons of this show if they wanted to give me it. Like, it was so great. But yeah, if you haven't watched it, I suggest go out there and do it now. You know, it's 13 episodes of just wholesome, cute, but very realistic and great content. You know, so I give it, again, 2 thumbs up. But yeah, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, like I said earlier in the video, I'm trying to maybe put out 1 review a week. You know, I still have more shows to watch. I still have a lot more on my list. The next couple reviews are going to be of the animes of this season. So probably a couple of Cuckoo season 2, Call of the Night season 2. I can't remember the other ones off the top of my head right now, but I wrote them down there on a list somewhere, and those are the ones I'm going to be doing for the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for those. We got the new season coming up very soon, so hopefully there's some couple more good romances in there that I can do. I want to do also some from previous seasons this year that I watched and I really want to talk about. So again, I'm gonna try to do it once a week. We're gonna try and see. I think I could be able to do it, you know. And then the shorts here and there, just kind of filling the gaps every other day ish, every day, every 2 days. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, if you're here watching the entire video, I appreciate you a whole lot. If you did like this video, hit the like button, you know, comment something down below if you want, how you feel about the show, other shows I could do, or whatever you really want. It helps the algorithm a lot too. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more romance anime reviews and stuff like that. I'd appreciate it a whole lot. Turn on the notification bell as well so you get notified when the next review drops. Also, go subscribe to my main channel, Everyday Hoops, which I talk about basketball over there, literally the exact opposite of what I do over there. But if you like basketball, or you know somebody likes basketball, you know, send them over to the channel. You know, we're popping a little bit over there, so I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.